This is the task management system application. It is a full stack application created on the front end with React, TypeScript, Jest for unit testing, end-to-end testing with Cypress, Tailwind for CSS styling, React router, Axios. So first, actually, we'll start with testing. So let's look a little bit actually on the architecture. Here's the architecture. Task management system. So the front end folder structure. Here we go. The public, source, components, hooks, pages, services, tests. This would be for the actual unit tests created with Jest and React testing library for the integration test. So if we notice here, we have, it's a typical React structure. We are managing the state here in the components. So for example, here's the task form components, typical React use state hook, setting the current state and updated state, handling the submit, then the JSX for the form. And that is a typical React structure. Then we have the interface working with TypeScript, task item, similar component, setting the state here, current state, updated state, TypeScript. Working with TypeScript, we are bringing in the tasks here. So here's what we want to set, what we want to use for a task ID, title, completed, user ID. These are the different types. So that is what in TypeScript you have the interface as a contract. So interface user, and so these are pretty similar components here on the front end. Now if you go back to the way the tests are structured, so we have, if you can see the tests here, these are the same, these are performing the tests of the components. So for task form, task item, task list, these are using this is using Jest. So we're using also with Jest React testing library as well. So then we create the mocks here, and if you can see here, we have a mock setup even for like API to create get, post, put. So mocks would be like what you're expecting the test to do, like a sample data. So actually, let's see this in action. So if we do npm test, you can run all the tests here. So just create a, and that's going to run all these tests here, the unit tests here. And those are passing here, so it's running task item, task list, task form, task management. Here's the integration test here. So these are it's a little bit about how Jest works here with a mocks. Jest uses these types of functions, describes what's going on here, and then a mock login, mock logout. Just how Jest works with these types of mocks. So, and then again, the typical Jest, like it'll render the task management system when the user logs in, home. Basically, what's passing here. So if you want to make sure that the test works with the component, if you change anything on the component, the test will fail. So it's a very much foolproof way to set up your application. Whatever you test, whatever you change on the component, you have to make sure you change that on the test, otherwise the test will fail. That's a little bit about the unit test. So it's as you can see, like I mentioned, it is exactly what it's testing on the component for the units. So if we now run the end-to-end tests with Cypress, this will actually run these end-to-end tests with Cypress, and it'll run that on the browser. So we have that set up with end-to-end testing with Cypress. Component testing is set up with Jest, so we do not have that configured here. So run that here in the browser. Start testing in the browser. And that's going to run Cypress end-to-end task management, which would be right here. So it's running all these end-to-end, very detailed end-to-end tests. So it's going to run all of these here. So let's go and run that. This is really nice about Cypress, that you can actually see how the user interacts with the application and make sure that everything works as it should. So you can see here the task management allows adding, toggling, and deleting tasks, persists tasks after page reload, user allows users to log out. So it performs all of this here, and you make sure it does that. That's a really nice foolproof way to make sure that everything is working as it should on the application, and you can actually see it here. So that's really nice. That's what I like about Cypress. And you can actually see it on the console. You can run this on the console also, but in this case, it's set up to run on the browser. So that's a little bit about end-to-end testing and unit testing, what we have here set up on the front end. So what else do we have? Then we have the hooks for the business logic on the front end for setting up the endpoints. These endpoints are set up on the back end for tasks, fetching the task, adding a task, toggling a task. You'll see these endpoints on the back end. What else we have? And that is the front end. So if we actually see those endpoints in action, close these out. That is here in the backend with the this application. It's a Nest backend structured with an MVC model view controller. Obviously here the view is on the front end, but the models and the views are the models and the controllers are here. So if we go into the user service, users, controllers, typical structure for a Nest application. Here's the endpoints that we create for users, user service, and you can actually create tests as well here, but it's with Jest as well, so it's ready to work with Jest. But in this case, we're handling that on the front end. Here's the auth, similar structure. So the way Nest works is you have an app module, which is like the main container, and it brings in like the other modules. So the auth module, task module, and then it works with these the task controller, the business logic, and the service as well. So here are the endpoints that we created that mentioned like for find a user, update a user, patch, post request, for the create task data type objects, which are here. Now this is what goes into the database. So so the title, string, update task, here data types objects for the tasks, and then a user has also the data typed objects for the user as well. So you can actually see this more. If you go into the backend, PostgreSQL Database, so here's a database with the tables for the tasks. These are the tasks that I created. Then there's the users. These are the different users. So, and then you can actually see that here on the consoles as well. Just to visually see like your database, that's what I like about working on the full stack. You have full control of the application. Yeah, so that's kind of a quick rundown of what we have here on the front end and back end. MVC, Nest on the back end, on the front end with React. So let's go back here, and this is the application. So React Nest full stack task management system.